Hi everyone, Comic Fury here. This time reviewing on issue 3 of Harley Quinn, the Eat, Bang, Kill Tool. Now, as you know, Harley Quinn, the Eat, Bang, Kill Tool is meant to be a continuation from Harley Quinn, the animated series, from the Season 2 final. And the premise has Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy going out on an all-out road trip while avoiding Commissioner Gordon and several mishaps. And the cover mainly has Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn having a candlelight dinner in a parody of Lady and the Tramp. And it starts off with Hush saying, "Why, you little, you're gonna pay for that." Why is this jerk gonna bother those pretty ladies? Honey, you already know that answer. And we kind of see how Hush kills one of the sort of waiters, with one of the guys looking shocked. And we see how Harley Quinn ends up getting thrown across the table. And, of course, we see how Harley Quinn points out to the readers about what's going on and that. And we have one of the guys saying, who the hell are you talking to? I don't know. Why do you look so familiar? And of course points out about what happens. And we see how Harley decides to use the restroom, and Poison Ivy decides to go along and to do a simple go in and get out. We see how two bystanders decide to call Harley and Poison Ivy in, knowing there might be a ward. And we see Harley bashing through, but of course Poison Ivy sorts out the problem and quickly berates her for her sort of like sloppy performance, but of course does realise her mistakes in berating her and forgives her. And we see how Dick Grayson is training in the gym, gets word from Bruce that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are at a rest stop, and they can't let Gordon get anywhere near them, knowing the full well damage Gordon could do. And we see how one of the sort of staff members helps Harley Quinn and also Poison Ivy in supporting their relationship, even saying how us queers have got to stay together. And of course gives them her address now in case they need any help. And we see how Nightwing shows up, but decides to help Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn by letting them go. And we see how just as they're about to get away, Tarzan style, they end up getting their vine shot at. And Commissioner Gordon's showing up saying, "Keep it steady, Cheryl. You got it, boss." And we kind of see how just as Dick Grayson shows up, ends up with Commissioner Gordon getting thrown off from the van. And we see how Nightwing tries to talk with Gordon, saying how he's now a shell of his former self. And we see how Batgirl shows up to try and talk with Commissioner Down. And keep in mind, back in Season 2, Commissioner Gordon did find out Barbara's identity, and both helped and support each other by Gordon slowly recovering, and Barbara to help Gordon be a better person. But of course, we see how they mainly become human shields to protect Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. And we see how the guy who was one of the henchmen talking with about Harley's story, but of course we also do get another flashback to when they showed up at a fancy restaurant, but of course end up meeting Hush, who says, "Is this seat taken? Has anyone ever told you how gorgeous you look?" And we see how Hush ends up bothering Harley and Poison Ivy, but of course we see how they both end up getting into a fight. And after Carmine for Conan shows up saying, "Ivy, let me go. Will you? Don't waste your beautiful evenings by killing Hush. He's not worth the trouble, trust me. Enjoy your nights with Harley. Dinner, drinks, whatever, anything's on me." And of course, they decide to kind of have their night, but of course using Hush as a kind of centerpiece for their evening, as well as buying out the theme park thanks to Falconin. And after having a night on the hood of the car, we see how an unknown person saying Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's won't know what hit them, which sets up the next story with Vixen. And this is the story. So issue 3 of Harley Quinn, the Eat Bang Kill Tool really does work, because you can kind of tell Harley and Ivy just want a normal road trip, but of course, because of everything from season 1 and 2, has shown a lot more repercussions. We see how Commissioner Gordon is a bit more fixated on capturing both Harley and Poison Ivy, just to regain his standings and put Gotham back on the map. And you can kind of tell Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, and Barbara are trying to make sure Gordon doesn't really cross the line too far. So I think this issue definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.